Welcome. Is this thing on? So let's see if this is streaming. I'm probably a minute early. Working around the confines of StreamYard is completely foreign to me. So let me just jump on to YouTube to make sure that this thing's going live. Fingers crossed. All right, where are we at here? We're closing in on 1:30. It looks like it's working. Hit me in the comments if you can see me talking. I see that some of you have already commented. Zazel, Jay, hello. It's double shark eyes. Phil, what's happening, mate? I'm just going to say this is working. Judging on the comments. Let's hope it's on YouTube. So, you watch the show with Lawrence. That was a lot of fun. If you didn't watch the show on A Punk with Toys and you're watching this after the fact, go back and watch it when you have the time. It was a good time. Lawrence is a really engaging host. And as I've said before on social media, he's a great guy. This light is very bright. I'm just going to dim that down. Boom. That's a lot better. It's currently pretty overcast and windy as hell here in Melbourne. So hopefully the internet holds out. The lighting may change in here as the sun goes in and behind the clouds. So what are we going to talk about today? Let's start with this channel. So this idea came to me in August of last year. I was watching other shows like The Full Force and enjoying, Chris as a host and what he brings to the table with his show. And at that time, I was still heavily using Twitter. And one thing I didn't mention in my chat with Lawrence is that I had like a basketball dedicated account on Twitter where I would post like vintage NBA footage and stuff like that. And that started in the pandemic as well. And it grew over the span of 2 or 3 years and had garnered quite a following. But since Elon Musk took over Twitter, it's become even more of a toxic shit show than what it already was. And I just found myself falling out of love with it. And again, basketball, wasn't really holding my attention like it once did. And toys clearly had taken a firm grasp of me. And that was where, I was dedicating myself and a lot of my time and passion and finances. And so it was kind of like a natural progression to watch more YouTube shows. And as a result of watching The Full Force, I'd come across other ones like A Toy Kind of Mood and Lawrence's channel and whatnot. And, so it was always in the back of my mind to start my own thing. And then thankfully, my good friend Lenny, aka Frostbites, he invited me on his show, which is Frostbites G.I. Joe Repro. If you don't know of his channel, go check it out. And again, it was just like an organic thing, talking with him and our fellow co-host, Ronnie Trickshot, aka Aaron. Shout out to him also, which was great because it kind of gave me like an entry level into doing this. Got me even more sort of familiar with talking to a camera. And obviously, as you can tell, I don't have a problem holding a conversation and speaking my mind on things. So, over those months, sort of started to craft ideas of how I wanted to do things. And it was always still on the back burner. And during that time, I also got into toy photography. And that was a result of Ronnie Trickshot sort of urging me to, give it a crack. And so created my Instagram account based around toys and started doing that. And it hasn't been wildly successful or anything like that, but it's been fun. And it's been like a good way to also, get toys outside and not just, have them in a collection sitting on a shelf or in a cabinet and just looking at them and appreciating them. In that front, you get to utilize them in a play kind of way. And the natural progression from there was, you start interacting with other toy photographers and other collectors, and people start to follow you, follow back, blah blah blah. And yeah, I was just really digging the community aspect of it. There seemed to be a lot less bullshit than what you would find on an app like Twitter or even Facebook. And yeah, so I just sort of kept it moving. And when Lawrence invited me on his show, I felt like that was going to be good timing to sort of get this channel off the ground. So lo and behold, here we are. I had, hoped that the channel would look a little bit more sort of like a channel with like a banner and avatar and all that sort of stuff. But working with a graphic designer who is still playing with that side of things and sort of fine tuning it. So that's coming soon. And yeah, so I sort of did like a soft launch on Instagram and sort of put the word out there a bit. And Lawrence's shows definitely helped today in terms of, exposing people to the channel's existence more so. And some of, the people who are in that chat have subscribed. So thank you so much. Appreciate that. Some of you had already subscribed, and that was awesome in itself. Those sort of things, it's only a little thing, but it goes a long way, because without viewers, you're just talking to yourself, basically. And yeah, so the maiden voyage is here, and here I am. So let's have a look at the comments. I don't want to sort of get too sidetracked by those, but just want to give a few shout outs to some people. All right, let's go back and see who was here from the jump. So Zazel, one of my fellow Aussies, a top bloke, and another toy tuber who has been in this game for quite some time. I think he's probably the first Aussie sort of Joe-based collector sort of to jump, in this pool. He's had some great success, and his love for Sarge is omnipresent. And if you haven't seen his videos on his channel about his recent trip to America where he went to Joe Fest and he got to meet his childhood idol, go and watch it, man. It is great stuff. It's the stuff dreams are made of, and it's similar to the story I was telling about meeting Dennis Rodman and all that sort of basketball related stuff in my chat with Lawrence. Who else we got? Pains. Sadly, I will be asleep for this live, but we'll check the replay. That's fine. I know the time zone difference right now is a challenge. I probably won't be recording at this time weekly moving forward. This was just a sort of one-off, just to sort of, shoehorn in after Lawrence's show. I haven't quite yet set a time and day, but it'll probably be Monday in the US, so Tuesday here in Australia, and quite possibly before Lawrence's show, so sort of like a lead into his, but I'm still sort of workshopping that. Go figure. Hello. Great haul. I heard there was punch and pie. Yeah, look, my days in hospitality are numbered, sir, and although I can cook, I have never made any pie. I do like punch, though. All right. Who else we got? Jay Toygo. Hello, sir. Another top bloke who I've interacted with on a couple of different channels. Thank you for joining us. Treasures for Trigger. Phil, an absolute legend. He has definitely helped give me some guidance in doing this. He's a Kiwi, so he's a friend of the Commonwealth, and he's based in Japan and also has a channel. And if you haven't checked it out, I urge you to do so. He goes into his collecting and what it's like to be a collector in Japan. And he's more of a vintage collector. And he's also the person who taught me how to say Takara and not call it Takara, which was what I thought it always was. It is Takara. So yeah, thanks for that, Phil, and thanks for joining today. Who else we got? All right, let's have a little scroll. Matthew Matson. Hello, sir. The moderator to end all moderators. So yeah, Matthew is the moderator of Lawrence's channel. Very knowledgeable collector. I see him in other chats, in other channels as well. Thanks for joining in, mate, and I appreciate your help today. with sharing the show in Lawrence's chat. It's a good thing you did for me. It's shout out to you. All right, let's go down a little bit here. See if I've missed anyone. Doesn't look like it. Hey, hang on now. Hang on a second. A punk with toys. Hello from McDonald's, or as we would call it here in Australia, Macca's. So yeah, that is another Aussieism that some of you in the US may not be familiar with. But yeah, we call Macca's Macca's. Why? Because we like to abbreviate things here in Australia. It's what we do. And I just see that another person who I'm quite fond of has decided to show up, and that is my man Skydro. Let's fucking go! If you don't know Skydro Walker, he is one of the elite toy photographers on Instagram, and he is a must follow. The work he does with a camera and action figures is the shit that I could only aspire to do. He's phenomenal. He has great dio setups. He's a Joe fan. He loves the cartoon. He does live streams on his channel, on his account, sorry, I should say, on Instagram, and they're often quite humorous. And yeah, he's a good dude, man. And appreciate you coming along, brother. Thank you so much. All right, let's just have another scrollity scroll. Lawrence. Now, that is rich coming from you. It takes a shit starter to no one, right? Lawrence, you make me laugh, dude. You make me laugh. I hope you're having a good trip in Florida, man. I'm sure the weather is superior to where I'm currently sitting. Yeah, that's right. That's it, man. That's it right there. I always have a chuckle when you say that, man. Always have a chuckle. All right. So, yeah, that's a few comments out of the way. I don't have to worry about super chats or none of that business because I'm fresh in the game. Now, I'm just going to pull up my run sheet, which I've got on my phone because that's, an easier way of doing things. Let's start with also the name of the channel. So those of you who follow me on Instagram, and I did speak about this with Lawrence, my account name is Shark Eyes Pics. I chose that simply because I like Snake Eyes, and that panel from the comic book where he's riding the shark and giving it a stab just was something that sort of, struck out to me. And, I wanted something that was just going to sort of indicate that I was taking toy photography and whatever. And Shark Eyes was already taken, so I just added the pics on the end. So yeah, it was a natural progression to call the channel Shark Eye Toy View. I played around with a few different names. You want something that is short and sweet and not too convoluted. I guess you could call it branding, for lack of better phrasing. And yeah, my banner will reflect that. I'm not going to have like a picture of Snake Eyes riding the shark, obviously, because that's not my art. I don't own it, but that's all in the works. So that's where the name comes from. And I do like sharks. Never seen one in the wild, which is probably a good thing, but I would happily jump in a shark cage and dive with them in the ocean. And you can do that here in Australia, in South Australia, in fact. All right, so that's that pretty much on the name front. There's nothing really much more to that. Where else we at? Let's have a look. It's been a bit of a slow week in terms of classified news, so there's not a lot I can really talk about on that front. I can show you a few things that I've picked up of late, though. For those of you who haven't seen it across my social media platforms and also on here, I did get the Range Vipers the other week and Big Ben. My first Range Viper was a little bit sort of a skiff in terms of some of the accessories being warped, but that was I fixed that. Let me have a look, see if they're still straight. Where did I put it? There it is. Yeah, look, there's still a little bit of warpage to that barrel there, but it's a damn sight better than what it was. And thanks to Jay Toigo, who definitely aided me in figuring out that the axe does fit there, and the grenade launcher also fits, because I didn't realize that at first when I did my review, because I was winging it and doing it on the fly. So sometimes it pays to pay closer attention, was the lesson that I learned there. Sazel, I have to show this. Shark Eyes has been on legitimate television. Okay, so yes, I have been on TV. So during the pandemic, I was watching like a lot of TV because I was home, like most people, and I was watching a game show called Millionaire Hot Seat. And you guys in the States, I don't think you have that, but basically it was an offshoot of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, which also ran here in Australia. And is still Hot Seat is still running, so it's been on air for ages. So I was watching this show, and like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, same sort of premise. You're answering the questions from your couch, as you're prone to do. And I found myself answering a lot of questions successfully, and I was like, I feel like I could give this a crack. So I looked up how to apply. I applied for it, didn't hear anything. And in the meantime, I was like, well, if I apply for one, I might as well apply for others. So I applied for another show called The Weakest Link, which I'm sure some of you are familiar with. And application was a success. Got on the show. So go to the studio, get on the show. And I was doing really well, other than maybe one or two questions that I sort of flubbed. Because it's hard when you're in a studio like that. The lights are beaming down on you and time is against you, and you're obviously competing against other people. Everything is like microcosmic, you know what I mean? And so pressure is on. And so I was doing well, and I got to the bottom three, and the other two contestants across from me who were there with me, they had sort of become friendly during the show, because you stop for a recording and stuff like that and chat to the person next to you. And so they kind of colluded and they got me out. So I missed out on $25K as the prize money. And I was dirty, man. I left that day feeling so deflated. Anyway, so fast forward. Get an email and find out that I've been successful in getting onto Hot Seat. So I go through the motions, same sort of thing. You're sitting there, and your time comes to answer some questions. So I get up in front of the host. His name's Eddie McGuire, and so I'm sitting there and I'm answering a couple of questions. And I'm terrible with math. Like, numbers just do my head in. Like, I'm not one of those people who can just see a number and just deconstruct it. Like, basic arithmetic, fine, but like when we're talking big numbers and stuff like that, basically my brain just goes. So I'm thinking, I don't want a maths-related question. That's the worst thing I want. So I think I got a couple right. Lo and behold, maths question comes up. I'm like, shit. Like, can feel myself sweating. Mentally, I'm looking at this number, and basically the question was, you had to. I'm trying to remember specifically, but it's like a 6-digit number, and you had to kind of break it down or whatever. And I couldn't do it. And the time's just ticking away. So I passed it on to the next person, and she was forced to answer it. And she got bounced as a result. She got it wrong. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm sweet. I'm still sitting here. I'm still good. I'm still in the game. And then there was another girl ahead of me, and she was like a doctor or something like that. I think she specialized in like biohazardous stuff or something. Anyway, I'm thinking, she's a brain. She's going to win this whole show. And she got up on to answer the questions. She was doing all right. Then she got bounced. She got one wrong. And I'm still in the game. And then there was like maybe two people left. And it came down to like the second last one of them. And he was a young kid. And again, he did really well. And I'm thinking he had this in the bag. And then he got like a music-related question, and he was probably in his early 20s. And this question related to like 60s era song. and he had no idea, and he got bounced. And so, bang, I'm back in the game. So I'm up, sitting there, and this is it. Like, got to go for the gusto kind of thing. And so, get a question, and the question was right in my wheelhouse. It was a movie-based question. I love film, so sweet. So the question was related to an actor and his given name being William, and you had to guess which the actor was. So you had 4 options. You had Denzel Washington, Brad Pitt, Johnny Depp, and Woody Harrelson. Now I knew straight away it wasn't Denzel because I could remember that was his name. And then I eliminated Johnny Depp in my mind. I was like, nope, don't think it's him either. So I was down to Woody Harrelson and Brad Pitt. And I was about 70-30 in my decision in terms of who I thought it was. Lo and behold, answered the right question. Gave the right answer, I should say. And it was Brad Pitt. And I won the show. So I took home a nice chunk of change. And yeah, that was it. And funnily enough, I'm on TV again this week in another show called Hunted. I don't know if you have that in the States. I wasn't a contestant in the show. I just happened to randomly be included in the recording of the show just by pure chance. So if you're in Australia, check it out Sunday night. I think it's on 7:30 on Channel 10. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. So yeah, that's how I've been on television. I was also on Double Dare as a kid, but yeah, we won't worry about that because that's a whole nother story. We could be here all day. All right. So I'm just gonna find where we're at. All right. Thanks for bearing with me in my noobish levels of using StreamYard. All right. We got a question here from Jay. Yes, I did use the hot water method. It worked well. My bathroom is pretty much right outside this room, so it's really convenient to do that. So yeah, thank you again, man. I appreciate that. I had heard of it before, but it's always nice to have these things reinforced. All right, I've got a question from Skydro. What would you think if the classified vamp was between 95 and 99 US? I think that's exactly where it's at, man. I've said that previously. I've commented that previously in different forums. I think that's exactly where the price point will be. I don't think it'll be over 100. Some people speculating 120. I think for that price, what you're getting is spot on. And I think Hasbro should do that because it keeps it at a relatively good price point. They're not entering into triple digits. So yeah, and I will definitely be buying one. I don't need multiple. I'm sure some people will get multiple, but yeah, one's good enough for me. All right. Aussie, yes, Phil. Aussies do have legit TV, sort of. Lock it in, Eddie. Yep. All right. Yeah, just back to this guy. Yeah, 70. Yeah, exactly. 75 to 80 plus $25 for the figure. That vehicle obviously doesn't have any lights or anything like that, like the Histang and Dragonfly, and they'll probably be able to, even with all the added deco and stuff that it does have, keep it down. I dare say. If they go higher, well, it's probably inflation purposes. Let's be honest. TV legend, I wouldn't say that, Zazel. Look, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention this because Action Force does go sort of hand in hand with classified. Some people like to blend the two. I can't lie. I did recently get an Action Force figure. The only other one I had was Sarge, which I still have. He's up here on the shelf. Shout out to you, Zazel. But I got the Desert Rat figure, and I only got him so I could make an extraction Chris Hemsworth kit bash. You can see he has the British flag still on that Tampo on the web gear, and I'm going to get rid of that. But yeah, that's as close as I could get him. And it was simple, quick kit bash of just the head. And shout out to Spartan118 who makes these amazing head sculpts. Like, I'm going to show you this closer because it deserves mention because he does great work. Like, look at that, man. That's all done by him. Look at the fade and the beard. He's not working in a factory. pumping these things out ad nauseum. Like, that's just all his handiwork. And just, yeah, it's good stuff, man, and well worth the investment. I couldn't recommend his products enough, and he's, a legit seller. You can find him on Instagram. And if you go back and have a look at the video I did about that kit bash on the channel, you'll see his link in the description. Lawrence. Oh, man. No. I'm just a game show whore. That's something that I'm still pursuing, I might add. The thing is, there's not a lot of game shows in Australia that have prize money. And that's pretty much the only reason I do it. It's not to get my face on TV. Like, I couldn't give a stuff about that. I'm just doing it to try and win money, man. And just to try and bolster the bank account ahead of retirement, because in my line of work, for those of you who don't know, I work with animals. I work for an animal shelter. And it is a rewarding job on many levels, and it's a tough job on other levels, but we aren't financially rewarded greatly. So, setting oneself up for later on in life is important as we get older. And if I can win a game show or two and help that, why not? Like, you got to be in it to win it, and it's a bit of fun. It's a good way to spend a day, like, hanging out on a set, like, doing those things. It's fun. Like, you get to meet other people. And, I did another show that aired recently, and that was horrible. Like, I bombed out on the second question, and I was just like, what the hell? Like, I did not anticipate it. That was a show called The 1% Club, which is a BBC show. I don't know if you get it in the States, but you might. But yeah, that was rough. But I will not be thwarted. I will definitely be on more in the future as much as I can. Yeah. Yes, Skydro, it is, man. He does great stuff. Like, I don't know if you kit bash figures at all, but if you haven't checked out his stuff, he does so many different movie actors and different characters. Like, another good one, he doesn't, like, he's got one, but it's not the one I want. But another good one I want to get is like Jeremy Renner to put on that Tripwire figure that's coming out, because a Hurt Locker figure would be sick. I know a lot of people have seen that film. Some probably like it, some don't. I liked it. I know someone recently on here on another channel was quite vocal about it being inaccurate, but whatever. All right, let's have another little scroll here. In terms of that head, Phil, you're not the first to say that. And I think it looks great. I think it suits the figure. And I don't really blend, like I said, I don't really blend other figure lines with classified, but he's one that fits seamlessly, in my head canon. So yeah, that's him. All right. We're on a roll here. Lawrence, Desert Ray is my favorite figure to kill. Look, not gonna lie, I have envisioned, like, once I get that diorama set up going on across the back, once I get more details, I have considered using him as a prisoner of war, perhaps, or maybe a victim of battle. We'll see. All right. I'm just having a scroll here, folks. Bear with me. Pat. Welcome, Pat. For those who have the original classified roadblock, what have you done to be rid of that horrible head sculpt? Well, my original classified roadblock is still in the packet. When I collected the classified line from the jump, I only ever got Snake Eyes originally. I wasn't going to collect the line, but then over time that changed, and I went back and retroactively purchased certain figures because I had a goal. I wanted to get like the first 50 figures. So from 00 Snake Eyes all the way through, including like the exclusives like Serpentor and Mindbender and Zartan and da-da-da-da. So, and that's what I did. I ticked off that 50. Tell a lie. I've got 49. So I still need the original Duke. I don't have that as yet, and he's getting increasingly harder to find here in Australia. A guy in one of the Aussie-based groups does have one for me. I just haven't picked it up yet. But yeah, so mine's still sitting in the box. My roadblock is this one, and where is he? Should be able to see him. He's like one of the biggest figures. That is my roadblock. That is who I like to have as roadblock. And you'll see that he has the Gridiron Studios Reintroduce set that they sell. And I should say that barrel was bent when I got it. And it's still, even though it's been heated, where are we? It's still a little bent. But yeah, it suits him. And I don't think there's another need for any other roadblocks anytime soon. But I'm sure Hasbro will probably give us one. Yeah, let's have a look. Oh, look out. Look who's decided to show his face. Ronnie Trickshot. G'day, mate. Got you on in the background at work. I'm not surprised. Aaron works in an office, for those of you who don't know, and he does like to have the little cheeky view of a channel. Lawrence will attest to that. Excuse me while I have a sip of this tasty water. Almost dropped some on me. Good to have you along, mate, even if it is briefly. So, yeah, Aaron is Ronnie Trickshot, and he is who I was talking about earlier, who got me into toy photography and is also one of my co-hosts on the show with Lenny, Frostbite's G.I. Joe Repro. So, yeah, flick him a follow on Instagram. That is his Instagram handle as well. He does a lot of amazing vintage photography in his backyard and in his man cave. And Aaron is an all-rounder. He's a good bloke. So, yeah, check his stuff out. Lawrence, what are you saying here? Do you mean the Cobra Island roadblock? Is he first roadblock? Isn't bad looking. The Cobra Island one is bad. So, yeah, I meant the first one with the, what do they call it? The rail gun. I think that's what we were referring to. The Cobra Island one isn't bad looking. That's look, he looks more like what's his name, Heavy Duty, to be honest. But yeah, he's not a bad looking figure. I still have him in box as well because that first 50 figures I've got, I deliberately wanted to have them mint in box. Like all the other classifieds that I'm picking and choosing from here, they're all loose. So I bought multiples of some figures I should say, and there's others that I didn't. So for instance, like he's a prime example. I've just kept him in the box. I don't have another one. Same goes for like who else? Who else is a good example? Tiger Force Recondo. I don't do Tiger Force and Python Patrol. That's just not my jam in terms of sub teams. I had like the original ones as a kid. But as an adult collector, for whatever reason, I just don't gravitate towards them. I think that's probably due to the fact that my Joe headcanon is based largely on the comics. And Larry Hummer didn't really sort of use them a great deal. He obviously had to shoehorn some of them into the comics at some point simply because of Hasbro, sort of urging him to do so. But yeah, so that's why I'm not a big fan. With that said, the Night Force sub-team, I am all about that because I never had any Night Force figures as a kid, so those are kind of new to me. I've obviously got Big Ben, as I did say. Where is he? I'll grab him. For those of you who haven't seen him in the flesh, so to speak, there he is. Yeah, and even though he looks like pretty similar to his original V1 figure, they have branded him as Night Force. And yeah, I guess I'm going to have to get Shooter and whoever else they end up putting in there. I just like the idea. I like the name too, Night Force. It's kind of got like, a bit of sort of military sort of sound to it rather than, Python Patrol or whatever. But yeah, that's where I'm at on those. All right, let's have a look. Just the facts, man. Just the facts, mate. Like, without you and also Lenny, I wouldn't be doing this. I had the idea in my head since August of last year, but it was only an idea. And, you guys definitely pushed me in this direction. You yourself pushed me in the direction of jumping on Instagram and taking photos of toys. And it's kind of taken a back seat of late as well. I've been sort of dealing with getting this up and running and putting it out there and all that sort of jazz. And also the weather in Melbourne sucks. And because I like to take outdoor photography, going out in this crap is not ideal. I spend a lot of my time outside in this weather just due to work. And so I tend to want to be inside a lot. And, you can take photos inside and whatnot, but that also does require a bit of work. Not all of us have basement setups like SkyDro, for instance, but it's something I've endeavored to do. Like I've used the flag a couple of times in photos. But yeah, mate, I rate you. And thank you again for jumping in the chat today, mate. I appreciate it and all you've done. All right. Just going to have a little bit more of a scroll. Mate, glad to have you here, even if ever so briefly, like I just said with Aaron. Your show was a lot of fun. You let me just prattle on and on and on. And we went well over the 2 hours. I had to actually rejig the time schedule of this stream because I'd undershot the mark. I forgot that we'd gone for like almost 2.5 hours, so I had to go back and change it. So apologies to anyone who I did say I would be on half an hour earlier. I'm sorry if you came here or were expecting it and it wasn't. I extend my apologies to you once again. But yeah, that was just mistiming on my behalf. But yeah, Lawrence, thank you so much again, man. Your channel is a lot of fun. I know there's people in the chat today that watch it. As I've said before, like you're doing good things, man. And even just asking me to be on, that was special to me. Because although I've conducted interviews in the past, like I'm interviewing like basketball players and musicians and stuff, no one's ever actually asked to interview me. So that was kind of just cool in itself. So here's to you. Thank you very much. And as I said, I hope you're enjoying your trip. Because, yeah, Florida, nice place to visit. I went to Miami once and spent a few days there on South Beach. I don't remember a lot of that, though. But I did enjoy the weather and the sightseeing. A lot of good sights on South Beach. All right. Yeah, it does. Yeah, so for those of you who might be watching abroad, like Melbourne weather, you can often get 4 seasons in a day, but winter stinks. I said this on a live on Instagram earlier. Like it often extends beyond the 3 months that winter is supposed to be. And, the month leading up to winter this year, it was practically winter. So we've had almost 4 months of this crap and I'm really over it. I'm looking forward to some sun because this pasty white skin of mine needs some vitamin D. And I just need to feel warm. I just don't feel warm. So, yeah, it's got to go right in the bin. All right. This is important, what I'm about to show. It's just great to see some decent toy blokes talking toys and showing off and shooting this shit. Plus, I love to see the figures in the background. Scott, this is what it's all about, man. It's one of the best things that I've really been drawn to when it comes to toy channels on YouTube and also on Instagram and toy photography. Like-minded individuals who are passionate about this stuff, because it's just stuff at the end of the day. Let's be honest. It obviously holds, dear places in our hearts. If you've been collecting for as long as I have, but even if you've been collecting in less amount of time, we all have different reasons for collecting and different reasons why we're drawn to it. But in the short amount of time that, I've been exposed to this world of toy tubing and, toy photography, I've come across some great people, man. And some of those people are here today, like I mentioned. Like, Lawrence and Ronnie, uh, Phil from Treasures from Trigger, Zazel, like Skydro, just to name a few. And there's a few that aren't here, like Roma, Tony's Figs, like another great dude. KJ, KJ, and Trav Moody from A Toy Kind of Mood. Two more good dudes. It's Chad, another good dude. These are guys who I've spoken with privately. These are guys who I've spoken to in these chats on these shows. And you just see the stuff that they do, whether it's their collections or whether it's their customizing, whether they have their own channel, and just the passion that they put forth. And we all have different opinions on things. Like some of us collect modern, some of us collect vintage, some of us collect both. So it doesn't matter which way you collect, but as long as you enjoy what you're doing and you enjoy talking about it with others and sharing, your knowledge or your collections, like it's a great thing, man. I enjoy this so much. Like I find myself watching ToyTube shows. If I don't catch them live, I'll stream them on my way to work. I'll watch them after work, and I'll watch this stuff more than I'll watch like actual TV or actual streaming services. I find it more enjoyable. I find it relaxing, and yeah, like there's a lot of good stuff to love about it. And like everything, there is a dark side and a shitty side, but for the most part, it isn't that. And I think that's a big draw card for me. And I hope people like yourself, Scott, have that same kind of mentality. I've just got one here. This thing's scrolling really quick, so it's hard to keep up, and then it sort of just jumps back. And this is also very salient point, Zazel. It's great to see more Aussies jumping onto this platform and giving an Aussie perspective. Facts. So Zazel has been doing this for a while, and besides him, Steve from G.I. Joburg, who technically isn't Aussie, but he is an Australian, I guess, by citizenship because he lives here. They're the only guys from here who I knew that were doing this. I don't know of any others. I could be wrong. There might be some bigger one out there. I don't know. But when it comes to Joe's, obviously these guys are in my wheelhouse. So yeah, they kind of inspired me too. And I have to take it back because I've seen Zazel around in Facebook groups for ages. I've never actually met him, but we've spoken privately and whatnot. And Zazel was promoting his show back in the day, and back then I would never really watch toy shows on YouTube, so it was kind of like a foreign thing to me. And full disclosure, I never watched Zazel's channel, so I was a latecomer to it. And I would see him promoting it, and I would see people not really showing a lot of interest in it. And then I would see him stop promoting it in the toy groups in Australia, and in large part, I think that was probably due to the lack of support. And I feel bad because I never showed that support to him. And he has shown that support to me since then, without even, no mention of that. But that's me mentioning that. And yeah, it doesn't take a lot to get behind someone and tune in and like something or subscribe to the channel. It's a small thing. So yes, in terms of being Australian and doing this, it is a point of difference, I guess, because a lot of toy tubers are American. But we all speak the same language, and again, we all share the same interests. So it makes sense. And it's a great way to pass time. It's you just get on here, talk to other people. And in Zazel's case, what he does is centric on one person, and that's his wheelhouse, and it's unique. That's a unique angle that he has, and more power to him for the fact that it's gone as well as it has. And he is a well-standing member of the toy tuber community, and if you're not already supporting him, flick him a like and subscribe to his channel, because he's also a top bloke, and we rate top blokes. Lawrence, you mean mood wreck? Yes, Trav Moody, aka Mood Wreck. For those of you who don't know, the shipwreck figure. Funnily enough, excuse me, I have it in hand right here, close by. This is pure coincidence. The head sculpt without the hat. There we go. There's a better look at it. Does resemble Travis. So if you don't know what Travis looks like, go and check out A Toy Kind of Mood, and you'll see soon enough why he's called Mood Wreck by Lawrence. All right. Yeah, Jay, it is interesting. There's a lot going on, man. Hundreds and thousands upon thousands of channels, different things to look at. Very much so. Absolutely, Phil. Good people, good channels. You can't go wrong, really. Yep, spot on, mate. Spot on. All right. So, yeah, as I was saying, there's not a lot of, like earlier before I got sidetracked, there's not a lot of classified news out of late, so I can't really talk at length about that. Obviously, you've got figures that are leaking in countries like Hong Kong and Taiwan, Malaysia and stuff. We're seeing figures like Tripwire and Grunt and the Desert Snake Eyes, and who else am I forgetting? I'm sure there's at least one or two more that are dropping over there, much to the chagrin of collectors in other countries like America, where they are not on shelves and not due to be on shelves for months. Look, I, for the first time, circumvented that because I wanted the Range Viper and I wanted Big Ben, and I did go that route, the Asia route. I went through two different retailers. Robot Kingdom was one, and the other, excuse me, all this talking, one's mouth does get dry. I see why a beverage is necessary. Robot Kingdom was one, as I was saying, and the other one is a top bloke by the name of Gaz, and he has a company called Return of the Nerd. And if you don't know Return of the Nerd or Gaz, you should definitely subscribe to his channel, and also jump on Instagram and give him a follow there, because he is getting a lot of Joe's stuff like I'm talking about. I think he's due to have the Snow Serpents on the 15th, if memory rings a bell. Yeah, I think it's the 15th. And yeah, look, you're going to pay a little bit more for freight. But if there's a figure that you really, really can't wait for, then look, it's an option. I reconcile the fact, for me, like in Australia, we're already paying crazy amounts for, a classified figure. So for instance, if you were to buy this from most retailers here in Australia, it's going to cost you $40 Australian. So these things also don't go on discount here. So you can't wait for it to be dropped down and reduced. So we're a captive audience here in Australia. So we're used to paying a premium for classifieds. So paying a little bit more for freight, whatever, we don't have much choice. I've spoken about this before on Instagram and also with Lawrence. Hasbro has done the G.I. Joe community here in Australia, which isn't large, but it is big enough, quite a disservice for quite some time. For those who don't know, we haven't had classifieds on shelves like in chain stores. They don't even really stock them. So you can find a smattering of Pimp Daddy Destros and figures from the Snake Eyes movie, on shelves here. Since then, barely nothing. You might find a Lady J, if you're lucky. Since that wave, nothing. So most of our Joes are bought through third-party sellers here in Australia. A couple of smaller store and chains do stock them. Gamesman is one. They're based out of New South Wales. Pop Culture here in Melbourne, they do stock them. But they're, again, getting them like months after they've dropped in America even. Not just in Asia, but in America. So if you want them quick, you got to do what you got to do. And that's just the way the cookie crumbles, unfortunately. We also don't have Pulse access here in Australia. I saw that it got I think, announced for Taiwan or Malaysia recently, like earlier this week or something like that, where Australia sits in the pecking order of to be announced next. Who knows? I'm not holding my breath in terms of what pricing will be and whatnot and when that will come. So in the meantime, I go elsewhere. Let's just have a look at the chat. Okay. What does that equate to in US dollars? So, all right, let's do a little conversion for you, mate. I'd say it's probably 20 something. Let's have a look. Depends on the exchange rate, of course. So yeah, $40. So yeah, 40 Australian dollars is currently $26.30 in US dollars. So there you go. And sometimes they're more than $40. Sometimes they're 49. Like, it really depends on who's selling them and what the figure is. Obviously, something like Serpenta or Mindbender is going to be a lot higher. It's not cheap. It's not a cheap man's hobby, that's for sure. But see, this is also why I solely pretty much collect just Joes. I don't really have a lot of love for other lines. I have the room, believe it or not. This does look like a small surface area, but I have like quite an amount of room in here. But that's not my focus. It's not where my love lies. So it's classified all the way. And I'm still piecing together the 4-inch line from 82 to 86. So that was another goal I had a few years ago. I've got majority of them. That's the top shelf in that D12 is the 82 ones, and it goes down to 85. And then across that bookshelf there are all the 86 figures. You can't really see them because the Dragonfly is obscuring them, but you might be able to see them in the distance there in front of those pops. So yeah, there's a lot of ones I'm missing are like the club figures, like the figure subscription service ones. But I've got a fair few. But it's taken a big back burner with my classified collecting, to be honest. And they're just not really readily available here. All right. Standard, yeah, Jay. It's standard US retail it's about 25. Yeah, but you guys will also get price reductions at places like Target and Walmart, I think. Where you can get things on clearance. Like, what was like the Tiger Force Duke and Ram selling for like $12 or something like that. And then you look at like that Fortnite boat, which I have one down here that was at Ollie's stores, and I know Ollie's aren't everywhere in the States, but like that was going for what, $10 or something. I paid 70 Australian for that, and that was half price. So yeah, to give you an idea, like it's a hard market out here for toy collectors, man. Like, you go into Target or Kmart, which we still have Kmart here. We don't have Walmart, and the action figure sections are just basically non-existent now. And as I said, they've never really stocked Joes, like not since the 80s and maybe the early 90s. So yeah, it's tough. It's tough. Okay, Phil, I'm going to show this because I want to talk about this. So, all right, the pops. So I was never a pop collector. I never really even had any desire to have Funko Pops. So basically what happened there was I was given one for a Christmas present one year, just randomly, and it was Axl Rose of all people, or of all things. And I've still got it. It's up there on that bookcase, CD case, I should say. Yes, I still have CDs. I'm a dinosaur. And I was like, what is this thing? Seen them in stores, and I was just like, it looks weird, cool. And then I sort of started to look into it and see, these things, they have value, and there's a lot of them. And I was like, okay. And so I sort of, a snowball became an avalanche, and I got a couple more and a couple more. And then I found myself really collecting them. And this is before classifieds, I might add. It was just one of those things I would buy on the side, besides like the 4-inch Joes. And yeah, before I know it, all up here on this shelves and over there and there, down here. There's a lot of Funko Pops, man. And I don't buy them frequently anymore. I might buy the occasional one. But yeah, they take up a lot of room, man. They take up a lot of room. I thought sneaker collecting was bad, but those things, also unless you've got lots of cases for them, they're so like the packaging is like really easily damaged. So that tower, where is it? That tower will probably be when I redevelop, and restructure this room, like I mentioned earlier. That tower will probably be not within frame anymore. I don't know. Like I've got so many that I don't really want anymore. Like I bought a whole bunch of Game of Thrones ones, and I have some cool ones though. Like, this is one that I won't sell, but I've got it's a bit hard to see. It's a signed Jake the Snake Roberts one from when he came to Australia, and he did a speaking sort of thing here. And I've got other random ones. Just random ones like Dwight Schrute. And I got a lot of the exclusives of things like that. The last one I bought was DMX, which was an exclusive as well, but I don't really buy them as frequently anymore. With that said, I do want the Derrick Rose one that's come out recently. So yeah, we'll just hide that one now, shall we, Phil? All right, who's this? Paul. Howdy, I've seen your name in some other Toy Tuber streams and figured I'd check this one out. The thumbnail got me. Hey! Well, my work here is done, Paul. Welcome aboard, man. Thanks for checking it out. I feel like I've seen your name before, too. Maybe on the Full Force or maybe on Lawrence's show. I'm not too sure. But yeah, thanks for coming along, man. Appreciate it. And yes, Pops can be a slippery slope, Paul. They sure can. You were smart, Zazel. You stayed right in your lane. I have considered getting the Sarge one, but I don't have many of the Joe ones. The only Joe ones I do have, I've got Zartan and I've got Beachhead. I think that's it. I don't. Oh no, tell a lie. I got the Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow ones as well. They're in the cabinet, which you can't really see. It's over there. It's the Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow cabinet I have dedicated to those two characters. It's a shame you can't see it, actually, because there's some cool stuff in there. But maybe one day. The problem is the flag here. Yeah, working around that and having that as the island in the room makes it a little hard. Like if you saw where I've got my computer set up here, basically I'm sitting on a chair, obviously, and I've got the computer set up on toy tubs, plastic tubs, and I've got my microphone set up on some comic book long boxes. So yeah, this room is a work in progress. It's just the biggest issue I have at the moment is time to get it the way I want it to, and also I'm trying to get details. So I don't know if it's in the States. I think I did see something recently. Like Trav Moody might have posted, they're not making details anymore in the States. They stopped making the black and brown details here for Australia. I can't remember how long ago, maybe a year. So finding those, because I want another 4 or so of them, is hard. You can find them on the secondary market, like Marketplace and stuff like that. But people also sell them for a higher premium. And Aldi, I don't know if you have Aldi in the States. It's a supermarket chain from Europe, from Germany, but we have it here. They do a version of them, and they come out every year. Now, it's usually between August and September. So I'm like waiting for that, because once I get those cabinets in, then I can move that bookshelf over here and set things up how I want it to be set up. I've also still got like my sneaker collection over here, which is dwindling, which is great. And a lot of other bits and pieces. But yeah, I just need the space, because once I have the cabinets in, I can move things around a lot more. All right. You guys in the chat, man, thank you for the comments. Like, you guys are keeping me very busy. When I planned the show, it was going to be very loosey-goosey, with not a lot of structure. Because, yeah, like I said, there wasn't a lot of classified news, and I just wanted to talk about being new to this channel and, what I'm all about. So thank you for coming along. I really appreciate it. And you guys are saying some interesting things. So it's just a matter of, catching up with it, because I don't have a mod here like Matthew Matson. Just saying. Thank you, bro. Yeah, thank you so much. That is important. It gives us the feedback that we need from doing this. Analytics and all that sort of thing aside. So yeah, appreciate that, Zazel. You're a good man. I'm sure you're not alone here, Paul. You can find me on almost any channel that covers Joe's Full Force, Punk with Toys, Toy Habits, Shark News, GDL. Sounds like me. Yeah, shout out to Full Force, Chris, top bloke, main geezer, friend of the Commonwealth as well. Punk with Toys, you know all about Lawrence. I've already spoken about him. Toy Habits, I don't actually haven't really checked out. I know of them. I've seen others speak of them, but I haven't gotten onto their channel much. Shark News, make a special mention of Shark News. So, full disclosure, when I was starting this channel, I obviously knew of him. And, having Shark in my title and like he does, I didn't want to like step on anyone's toes. So I reached out to him privately and I said, look, I like your channel. This is who I am, da, 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 da. I said, I hope you don't mind, but I'm probably going to be starting my own channel soon. And, we will have Shark in the title. I hope you don't think I'm like, trying to steal your thunder, so to speak. It's just, I like sharks and turns out he likes sharks too. So, yeah, he was really gracious about it. And, he was, forthcoming with like, saying, do your thing. Like it's all good. And he's also given me some advice as well. He does on his Instagram account, he often does Q&As. And so I've asked him questions before and he's given me some great answers. So yeah, give him a follow. Hit subscribe on his channel. He's got like news coming. Boom, 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 boom. He's like, he must have a computer like glued to his hands. But yeah, he's one of the good ones out there. GDL. What's GDL? Someone mentioned that in the chat. I'm not too sure what GDL is unless I'm not putting two and two together with the acronym. I can't even say acronym. There we go. Acronym. Maybe I need some more water. It's gotten so dark in here. I'm going to flick this light on, see if that's a bit better. There we go. Let's have a look. See that? Never need to promote your show on other shows. If you chat enough, people chat. Bingo, man. Yep. You don't want to be that guy. You don't want to like dive bomb someone's mentions or the comment section, I should say, with links and all that sort of jazz. Word will get around. If you've got good things to say and you've got a lot to say and you're putting out a product that you think that people will engage with or find interesting, it'll just the trickle down effect will be there. Like I started this, like when I set this channel up was like mere weeks ago. Started out with 0 subscribers, and today let's have a look. Like I don't even know what I'm at, but it's not a heap. But it's still like relative to what I'm saying. If YouTube allows me to look at my, so I've hit 100. Like I've hit 108 subscribers as of this moment, and to me that's like awesome. Like I put a few videos out there prior to going live. I didn't really share them a lot. I shared a couple of them here and there. I put it on some people's radar. Like obviously Lawrence, he knew about it, and Lenny and Aaron, they know about it and whatnot. But I wanted to do like a soft launch and just let it grow organically. And here we are. Lawrence's chat today. Like for those who stuck around for all 2.5 hours, like some of you hit subscribe, and that means a lot, man. Like that means that you're willing to support others and you're willing to see what other people have to say. And that's what we do this stuff for. We want to put stuff out there for people to watch, at the end of the day. So that's what it's all about, man. That is exactly what it's all about. Thank you again, Lawrence. No, not that one. Wrong comment. Geek Dad Life. Yeah, see, I knew I wasn't getting the acronym. Yeah, another great one. You know, I don't get to watch that as often. Excuse me, as I would like, because there's only X amount of hours in a day and only X amount of hours on a commute to work. Like it takes me a good 40 minutes to get to work in the morning and generally an hour to get home in peak hour traffic. And so that's when I'm throwing on some of these shows. And yeah, you know, then you get home, you got life stuff to deal with. So you know, and you have to share a television with the people you live with. In my case, my wife. The dogs don't care. You know, they let me watch whatever I want. But yeah, Geek Dad Life's another good one. There's some great ones out there. You know, a Toy Kind of Mood. I already mentioned them. There's another one. You know, I might even be forgetting someone. Am I forgetting anyone? I did mention Zazels. I did mention the Full Force. Yeah, that about sums it for now. Let's have a look here. What we got here, Paul? That's a great growth in a matter of weeks. I started my channel a little over a year. I'm still climbing 300. Thank you, man. Look, I think a big part of that was the Range Viper unboxing and review I did. I think the algorithm was very kind to me with that one, and the timing of that. I got that figure pretty quick. There wasn't a lot of reviews up on YouTube. And yeah, I obviously wanted to put something out there, and that was a big part of that. But also, you know, friends of the channel like Lawrence and other people I've mentioned have also hit subscribe. I haven't even told my family about this. Like, you know, other than my wife and like maybe one of my close mates or two. But yeah, you know, that's about it. Like everyone else is just from this community. And that's awesome, man. Like it goes to show. It goes to show. Aaron, I don't think I will start a channel. I do my best work on everyone else's time. I'm like that guy in sitcoms who lives in a caravan in the backyard. What sitcoms has a character who lives in the backyard? Man, I don't know what show you might be referring to then, but I get what you're saying. I guess, you know, he could be akin to Kramer, but he didn't live in a caravan. Oh, Aaron, you make me laugh, man. You make me laugh. So yeah, exactly, Lawrence. Reviews will get you subscribers. Live streams get you loyal subscribers. See, that is a big difference right there, because there are people who just want to see, you know, you open something and share your thoughts on it, and you know what's inside the box. And then there's, you know, channels like just like yours, for instance, where, you know, you're periodically putting out a show and garnering an audience that want to participate and want to see what you have to say. And it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense, dude. And, you know, that's what I'm aiming to do as well, just like yourself. So, and the countless other toy tubers out there. That's who I'm forgetting. There are a couple I'm forgetting. Bobby Bees Battleground. Another great subscriber to tune into. He does a lot of good reviews. He does Action Force and stuff as well as Joe's. Bobby's a good dude. So, yeah, you can check him out if you aren't familiar with it. Ratface44 is another one. Show him some love. He's also another one doing reviews. Am I forgetting anyone? It's when you're thinking on the cuff like this, you know, it's hard. But I've gone through a big list. So there's definitely some for you to check out if you aren't familiar with them already. How long have we been going for? Damn, we're at an hour already. Whew. Time flies, man. It's now 2:38 p.m. in here. Shout out to those of you in the States who are still awake, because I know on the West Coast, it's got to be past midnight right now, surely, yeah? What time is it? Let's have a look. In the East Coast, it's definitely past 12 a.m. What about time in Texas, for instance? Time, Texas. It's the first like West Coast city that went to mind. Let's have a look. Okay, this is not helping. Not helping at all. 11th. Okay, so it hasn't gone midnight yet in Dallas, for instance. There you go. So close, close, and especially considering that it is not even the weekend. Yeah, thanks, Jay. 12:39 on the East Coast. Yeah, considering it's not the weekend, shout out to those of you stateside who are still tuning in. I appreciate it. Okay, Aaron's got an answer. Adam, Cody from Step by Step lived in his van in the driveway, and every time he walked in the back door, the live studio audience went bananas. I am Cody. Okay, thank you for clarifying that, because I had no idea what show you might have been referring to, or shows. I don't think I ever watched Step by Step. Look, sitcoms probably peaked for me with Seinfeld. I didn't do Friends. Hated it. Wasn't my jam. Apologies to anyone who likes that show. I get it. Just wasn't for me. Yeah. So, and they're not really much of a thing anymore. Sitcoms. They're not like they were in the golden years of television, like Cheers. Oh man, Cheers. What a show that was. There were some classics. Yeah, definitely peaked for me with Seinfeld. Am I forgetting anyone? No, I must have been, because that was the one that I distinctly remember watching a lot with my dad. But after that, not so much. Man, I accidentally clicked on this schedule. I didn't mean to put it up, but thank you, dude. I think you're off to a terrific start. You're definitely made for. Oh man, appreciate that, bro. Thank you so much, man. That means a lot. Like, I'm wigging it. And like, you know what it's like to talk into a camera and just, chatter and just spit stuff forward. I would definitely have more, of a structure moving forward. But yeah, like I said on Instagram earlier today, I was just going to freestyle it here. But that is a really nice compliment, dude. I really appreciate that. I'm just laughing step by step. Yeah, Lawrence, Aaron's brain, man, of all the shows. It's a reference. Here, if you'd ask me, Adam, what would be a TV show that will get referenced on your stream today? And I don't know. I definitely would not have guessed Step by Step. But here we are. Who was even in that? Aaron, you fill me in. You seem to be a fan. Okay. I have to put this up. Sorry to bring it up again, but you missed my comment before. Can we teach Lawrence how to say crikey, please? Okay. Very valid point here, Aaron. So during one of your shows recently, Lawrence, Aaron made a comment. I can't remember what the basis of that comment was, but he put crikey in there. And you actually pronounced it cricky, which is how you read it, which is phonetic. Which is fair enough. So it's crikey. Now, for those of you who know of Steve Irwin, R.I.P., he would say crikey a lot. And crikey is, I guess, like a kind of an exclamation of like, it's not a swear or anything like that, but it's kind of like an exclamation of surprise, like bloody hell or something like that. Yeah. So that's how you say crikey. That's kind of what it means. So now you know, Lawrence, and for anyone else who doesn't, wasn't familiar with that vernacular, that is how you say it, and that is what it is. Yes, it was. Step by Step is pretty much what I think of when the New Kids song when I hear that. Oh man, Phil, what a time to be alive. Shout out to the Wahlberg brothers and Joey Fatano. I think that's how you pronounce his name. Oh man, we're deep diving into Step by Step now. Oh my god, I'm sorry to anyone who ends up watching this on replay. But I'm the one putting up the comments, so I only have myself to blame. I don't know who she was, Lawrence, but sure, she was hot. Okay, we got a little bit more expansion on this. The one daughter in Step by Step was the girl from My Two Dads. Mum was Susan Summers and the dad was Bobby from Dallas. Man, I know who Bobby from Dallas is. I know who Susan Summers is, but I do not remember that show at all. Yeah, okay, Aaron. Crikey, this one's a real struggler. Time to figure out whether it's a boy crocodile or a girl crocodile. Yeah, Steve Irwin, man. What a legend. Fun fact, I never watched his show much, like when it aired here. Obviously, I was familiar with him. But I can remember where I was when I heard the news of his passing, actually. I was living with my mum and my stepfather at that time, and they had an apartment in the suburbs. It was actually like a penthouse, and yeah, I know, big flex on my behalf there, and yeah, I can remember. That's what I think of when I think of his passing. I caught the news flash of it happening, and yeah, it was global news, man. We lost a real one. We lost a true icon the day that man passed. And, obviously with myself working in the animal welfare industry, he's a person who was all about the conservation of wildlife, and, the animal kingdom. So yeah, he did a lot of good things in his time on Earth, and his family continues to do that. And yeah, what a juggernaut that man was, and what he did. Oh, now we're stepping into 90210 territory. I watched the show. Don't get me started on 100. I feel like I've heard you make mention of this before at some point on your channel. I used to love 90210. That was a good show, man. I don't care what anyone says. Like, I watched that week in, week out. It was good. And in Melrose Place, I watched that a bit, but I was always all about that 90210 life. I hope it made your day, mate. Thanks for reminding me. I completely had forgotten about that. Yeah. All right, I'll show you this one as well, Phil, while we're talking about Aussie vernacular, just going back to that. Stone the Crows. Yeah, that is an old Aussie kind of idiom, I guess you could say. You don't hear it much. Like, I don't feel like I've heard it a lot over the course of my life. I feel like there might have been a commercial at some point that used it during the ad. But yeah, you don't hear it a lot. I think it's another. I don't even know what the etymology of it is, but let's have a look. Let's have a quick look, because I'm curious as well. Stone the Crow's meaning. Yeah, so it's dictionary is describing it as informal British. An exclamation of surprise or shock. So it's kind of like crikey. Yeah, that's what I thought, but I just wanted to be definitely clear on that. Why do we say Stone the Crows? Etymology, originally Australian English of the 1910s. So like I said, it is old. Referring to the former occupation of watching over cornfields and stoning crows that attempt to plunder the crops. So not ethically minded practice, right? I do not condone the abuse of animals in any way, but different, far simpler times, I guess. But that's where that comes from. So there you go. I just learned something, and I hope you did also. Oh, yes. Let's go back to this one again. I'm jumping back and forth here, but this is how the chat's unfolding. Jenny Garth was hot. I haven't seen her in recent years anywhere. Her career just flamed out. She's probably like a mum and shit. But yeah, Jenny Garth was easily my favorite. I was all about her character. I can't even remember what it was. Not Brenda, because that was Shannon. What's her name? But yeah, Jenny Garth. Oof, smoking hot. And yeah, Tori Spelling, not so much. Ronnie, let's have a quick look here. It is, Jay. I love that stuff. I like to learn things. And, as humans, we're constantly learning, or you should be. And the etymology of certain things, like, especially like in Australia, we have so many different sayings that stem from, obviously, from the British. and their colonization of Australia. But others have also just organically grown out of our culture here and the melting pot that it has become. But yeah, I'm big into that stuff, man. I often find myself Googling whether it's a word or a phrase or something like that. And this is going to take a slightly dark turn, but finding out like the origins of things. Like, for instance, this is something I searched recently, which was waterboarding. So, yes, it's a torture, and those familiar with it, you would have seen it in films, of course. Guantanamo Bay kind of put it on the map, and the CIA and their use of it. But did you know where that comes from? So it stems from the Spanish Inquisition. And I did not know that. But apparently, when the Spanish were roaring around the world and committing heinous deeds upon different nations, they implemented that as a torture device in the Philippines, I think it was, initially. So yeah, and I find that stuff like interesting. My brain retains a lot of useless information, and that's one prime example. And this is also why I like going on game shows, because I'm able to like pull that info out of my head like pretty quick a lot of the time. So yeah, there's a fun fact for you. Not so fun for a lot of people at the time, but there you go. Tori. Yeah. Daddy's little girl, Aaron. In the United States, it's what's this one? Oh, yeah. Okay. This is on. Yeah, I'll put this up. In the United States, if you're tired, some people will say, I'm going to hit the hay. In the mid 1800s, they used to have oil pans under the beds. Above the headboard, they would have a wooden stick. They would take the wooden stick and hit the hay to knock the bed bugs down into the oil pan so they wouldn't bite you while you slept. There you go. See, that's a perfect example, Jay. I did not know that. That's awesome one. I use hit the hay often. Like there you go. That's a good one, man. That's a really good one. Thank you for sharing that. See, this is the beauty of these chats. You know what I mean? Like, we haven't talked a lot about toys, but we've gone off on multiple tangents, and interesting stuff like that. If you're having a conversation with someone in person, same sort of thing. These things can come up, but when you're dealing with a conversation with people from all across the world in the one room, you're gonna get that kind of stuff right there. That's what I love about this. And getting to know, where people are from, and their cultures, and what they eat there, or how things are, with this or that. Like, I love that stuff, man. I love it. Thank you, Lawrence. Man, I'd be cooked. So, look, I'm going to tell a little story here. So, when I went on the Weakest Link, this is embarrassing, but I'll tell it because Aaron will attest to this. So when I went on the Weakest Link, if you're familiar with the show, you have to bank money as you go before you answer a question. As the money spikes, you got to say bank. So what will happen though if someone answers incorrectly, the money plummets. So in the throes of the show, like, things are moving quick. And it come around to me, like, to answer a question, and I've gone bank, like, thinking that there's X amount of money on the board to put, like, in the kitty to lock it in. Unfortunately, the person prior to me had stuffed up, and there was no money. But in my head, I was like already trying to think 2 steps ahead, and like, got to save the money. You know what I mean? And I stuffed it up, and ever since then, there's one person on this planet who watched that show who will continually remind me of that, and it is Ronnie Trickshot. Aaron, there you go. So you'll see him occasionally drop this in, like if you're on a Facebook thread and I'm talking about something, he might drop a little bank. It hasn't really come into our chats with Letty much at all. It's always good for a laugh. Definitely not my finest moment on a game show, mate, but I'm glad you caught it. Not many people did. I don't know how, but not many people did. But it definitely left a mark with you, man. Oh, yeah, good stuff. I was going to do an unboxing while I'm here, and I don't know if I should. I've got 3 options. If you want to see one of them opened, I'm going to let you pick one. If not, that's fine. We don't have to do it. But I've got the time to kill, and if you're still interested, why not? So I'll throw up the options. You've already seen one of them. So I've got Shipwreck. Good old Torpedo. And Scrap Iron. So yeah, drop a comment in there. If there's anyone in particular you want to see open, I'll crack it open. If not, we'll probably wrap it up soon. Just because obviously it's getting late overseas, and it's during the day here, and not a lot of people are able to hang out. Paul straight in. Okay. All right. Paul said Scrap Iron, but Jay's mentioned one I've got on ice sitting over there. I haven't opened my other range vipers, but Jay's also said Scrap Iron. Go with that. DJ, glad you're still here, man. Thank you again for joining in. It was nice chatting with you earlier on Lawrence's show, I might add. Scrap Iron as well. So Scrap Iron so far seems to be the general consensus. We've pretty much got 3 votes for him. So you know what? Let's do it. All right. So I already have a trusty little knife here, so bear with me. Now, normally when I do my reviews, I'll go through the whole box art, yada, yada. Most of you probably know about this. It's got the reference to one of the episodes of the cartoon. You got some Sky Strikers flying over. That's where Scrap Iron had the bats in the bus. I've never seen that, so it doesn't mean a lot to me. You've got the standard, what's inside here, accessorize. I'm pretty sure that is, where is it? This way. Oliver Barrett art. He's phenomenal, man. I'm a big fan of his stuff. Got the back. It's got a lot of weight to this box too, I might add. You're definitely getting what you paid for. What I find funny is he's 6.2 inches. So they've obviously scaled him down to some of the other figures. It'd be cool if they did that in their height, in feet. I personally would be okay, so Scrap Iron is 6'2" or whatever. Actually, you know what? It does say 6.2. Yeah, it is in inches. It's not in feet. I just want to double check that before I got it wrong. Yeah, but you know what I'm saying. One thing I will make mention of, when Amazon shipped this, it did get a little bit dinged up. So fortunately, I opening it. In my other reviews, if you haven't already seen those on the channel, I often go through the skill sets here. The fact they've made these so small is painful on the eyes. Trying to reconcile what that is with what was once on the website that is no longer there. I have a list of those things, so that's how I use to figure out what their levels are and stuff like that. But trying to read those, I have to get my phone and zoom in so I can make out what the logo is and then correspond it to the chart. That's a me problem, yes, but I just wanted to throw it out there. Aaron, I already mentioned this. I did mention this. You must have stepped out of the office when I did talk about that. I didn't go into lengths about it, but I did mention it. Yeah, that was a fail. Thank you for reminding me. Yeah, that's right, Paul. The school bus reference is in the first episode of Arise, Serpentor Arise, and that 5-part miniseries is definitely worth a watch. I have seen Arise, Serpentor Arise. I think I watched it on the Hasbro Joe channel. But I don't remember that. Maybe it just sort of was like, because I would have that on the background while I was doing stuff, so I might have missed it. But thank you for clarifying that's what it's from. What do you got saying here, Skyjo? Python Patrol has a $44.99 price point coming in the future. What if Scrap Iron is the Python Deluxe? Could well be. Could well be. You know as well as I do, my friend, that they love a reuse. They certainly do. All right, let's get into this bad boy here. Just going to figure out what's going to be the easiest way to untape this. Is generally the bottom here. I like to go that out and just pop. Let's see how this all unravels. I do keep some of these boxes, especially these ones with the artwork. A lot of the other previous window window bockers. Sounds like a really bad basketball team out of New York. We're the window bockers. Yeah, so a lot of those I turfed in the rubbish bin. Do you say turfed in America? Not as in like AstroTurf, but turfed it out. Yeah, that might be another Aussieism for you. Before I open the accessories and try not to drop those all on the floor, let's have a look at the figure and how it's... Oh, okay. There he is. So, yeah, you'll see. I'll go a bit closer here. That oh so cute face sculpt of his, looking very happy, trapped inside his cardboard little cell. Let me out. Fun fact, I was always cutting these strings off, but little did I know, simplicity is if you just pull them, they tend to just unravel, is what I was taught. But now, this one's going to make a liar of me. So no, it's once you get one of these out, you should be able to just pull it and it should unravel. I don't know why it's not doing it now. I guess I lied. I find it easier to cut them for filming purposes. But you can do it however you want, really. How many of you guys have got scrap iron? Let me know if any of you do in the chat. Just having a look. They love a red hat. Well, he doesn't come with a red hat, Aaron. Does he now? That's Crazy Legs, who I told you why he has a red hat on our recent episode of Frostbites with Lenny. Caught you by surprise, didn't I? Now, this is proving to be somewhat more difficult than I anticipated. One of these knots is like tied very, very tight, but we're getting there. Just need some elevator music. Girl from Ipanema. All right, we got old Scrap Iron out of the box, and there he is. The light is really shining, but you can see that nasty ass burn scar that runs across the back of his head. It's kind of got a bit of a haircut like me. Short back and sides. Yeah, I might just flick this light off and see if it makes a bit of a difference. Might be easier to see if it'll glare. Yeah, it's a little bit glary, isn't it? But that's the figure. You got some nice detailing here across the vest coming through down here. It's really windy outside. I don't know if you can hear that. The texture of this is really nice. That's one great thing about the classified line is the texture they put into the outfits of the figures. He's got a couple of bung feet in the packaging. Looks like he's had polio. Just rectify that. There we go. Looking a bit better stead. I'll just pop him here for a moment. The light didn't make much of a difference, so I will put that back up. Now assembling the old drone. Drone, something you want to call it? Anti-armor drone. Yeah, that's what they call it. I assure you, I'm getting this out of the packet in due time. Join me for a 3-hour show where Adam opens a cardboard box. Now, I don't have a hand injury really anymore like I did have, but so I've got no excuse. So, drone comes in 2 parts as pictured. It's got like a ball socket that sits like that. Little hole underneath. And that should theoretically just clip into place, I'd imagine. Yeah, so there's no real click. It just sort of sits like that on there. It does, like that's on firm. Like if I hold it like that, you can see. And it is angled up. And then the treads, obviously, you can angle it down like so. Rotates around 360. It doesn't have much clearance going down, but you can go up to that point there. You've got anti-tank 002 on there. I don't know why they went with 002. And then on the other side, you've got piezoelectric. And I believe piezoelectric is like, now when it comes to science, I am no guru, but it's like some form of electricity usage. Someone might know in the comments. But while I just fiddle around for a second, I'm just going to go back to what you said before, Skydro, because Punk with Toys has a comment. Python Patrol Crocmaster is what I believe that $45 one is. So, Lawrence, do you think that he'll be like the red Crocmaster that they released in I think it was around the Pursuit of Cobra era line? Is that what you think it'll look like? It would make sense. Why anyone would want a red alligator, I don't know. I always found that odd. But yeah, again, another reuse. I'm good with the one Crocmaster I have. I do have a box one as well, obviously, because it was part of that first 50. With that said, I would like more crocodiles or gators because in the comics, he did have more than one. Fiona wasn't the first, believe it or not. A lot of people don't realize that. He had Tiffany. And I cannot remember the other names of them. I've spoken about them before online. But yeah, he had like 3 or 4 different ones. But yeah, so I would like a couple more of those. But back to this drone. Now, all the accessories are in this hefty little box here. He's number 74. Hard to believe that we're over 100 figures now, including pipeline reveals and renders. Who would have thought, huh? Not me. At some point, I'm sure a lot of you didn't think as well that we'd get this far. But here we are. What a time to be alive. You know, I love the classified line, man. I love where it's come to this point. I love that we've got so much more good stuff coming. You know, as long as we keep buying it, and I'm sure we will, it's not going to stop. And, you know, hopefully it leads towards, you know, some actual Joe media, like a cartoon, an actual proper movie. But a cartoon series first would be great. Let me just jump these comments down. Let's have a quick catch up here. Yeah, Jay, he definitely did get too close to that missile system or had something blow up in his face. They nailed it on the head sculpt. They did nail it on the head sculpt, absolutely. And even with the helmet on, you know, just an authentic, true look, DJ. Really, really harkens back to the V1 figure. Oh, you've already got one, Jay. Loco Moco, hello. Thank you for joining. You've got one too. Do I even need to ask if you have him, Lawrence? Of course you have him. I think I've even watched your review, mate. No, Ronnie, you do not. We know, some of us know your stance on the classified line. With that said, if it is in stores, you have said you will buy it. So who knows? Maybe one day. J. I actually picked up 2 more Arctic backs from GameStop. They've been, yeah. See, I was on the fence about the Arctic bat. I like it, but I also love the original bat. I now have about 8 of those. And yeah, like just the look of it. Again, it fits my headcanon. The Arctic bat is probably the best one since, though. I like the different way they went with it. Good Lord, there's stuff everywhere here. And yeah, I just haven't got it. Did you have any issues warping wise with the weapons? I know some people did. I think Lawrence did. I know Chris from Full Force did as well. I think it seemed to be quite common. Okay, Lawrence. Red Croc Master, but hopefully not a Red Croc, but hopefully. Oh, man. I don't know, man. I feel like they might do it. Wouldn't shock me. I just don't get it. Like, I guess if you can put the Python Patrol aesthetic on figures and vehicles, like, why not animals? I don't know. That's just me. Again, it's probably me just being a purist. Just ignore me. It's fine. Shout out to those who do want a Red Croc, though, because we all like different things. DJ, I'm just going to pretend the Dreadnought spray painted Fiona red. That works, man. Couldn't put it past him. Yeah, look, I'm hanging for the Dreadnoughts, man. Buzzer, Ripper, Torch. Yes, please. Thank you. You know, obviously having Zartan and Zorana is good. But yeah, I want those guys. I want Monkey Wrench. I want Xandar too. Who else? Thrasher, of course, with a Thunder Machine would be great. We'll definitely get that. It won't be a HasLab. This is why I also think they've done the Transformers Thunder Machine, you know, to sort of have that there, scale it up, you know, get it done. What was I going to say? Who else? Zanzibar. That's who else I really want with a skiff. Tell me they're not going to do that. Like if we're getting Vamp with Clutch, we're going to get Zanzibar with a skiff. You got Serpentor with the Air Chariot. Enough said. All right, so back to old Scrap Iron here. For those of you who might have just tuned in or are still with us, I am doing an unboxing. The figure's out of the box. We've had a little look at him. We'll come back to him in a second, though. We had a look at the drone as well, which is sitting on my phone here. We'll do the blast effects first. So there's one of them. I don't mind these. I don't love them. Like, I mean, they're okay. You know, you can't see what I'm doing, but holding up to the light with some light through them, and it's probably not going to work on camera. Like the red sort of does pop a bit. They'll add something to a diorama. Case in point, when I get mine done, you know, this one is a bit, yeah. You know, it's a nice little touch. I'm glad that they're at least thinking along those lines and doing those things. You know, there's another one of like a missile landing. There's a bigger one of those. You know, world building is something they've said that they're doing or trying to do. And, you know, you've got to give Lenny and the team credit for that, you know, because it could be worse. It could just be like Marvel Legends, where you get a figure, maybe a set of hands, and a weapon. No Quinjet. No, what else? What's else? Something else from the Marvel like universe, like could be a playset or a vehicle. I can't think of anything on the top of my head other than a Quinjet. But you know what I mean. Like, you get bare essentials with that line, man. I would hate to be a Marvel Legends collector. And I'm a Marvel fan. Like, I got hundreds of Marvel comics sitting behind me here. I've got some Marvel Legends figures, but I don't collect that line. And what that's come since Disney has taken over that property is quite shameful, to be honest. And I don't blame Hasbro for that. I blame them. I blame Disney squarely. So let's get some missiles on this bad boy, because I want to see how they look. So There's your missile here. It goes backwards, apparently. Let's go this way. There we go. They just slot in very easily like so. Sit like that. And they sit nice and flush. Like, I don't know if they're going to tip out if I tip it up. Let's find out. Oh, look at that. They lock in. That's nice. And you don't really hear that or feel it, but they definitely lock in. I spoke too soon. Thunder Machine. Yes, DJ. Thunder Machine indeed. That'll be a fantastic 6-inch vehicle. What they like, how they repurpose that, I don't know, but yeah. I'm just gonna have another little look at the chat here. Yeah, Paul, just going back to this, man, it is kind of complex. And I did give like a very rudimentary, rough explanation of that. It is kind of complex. I'm not a scientist. So yeah, if you want to figure that, if you don't know what piezoelectric is, just Google it. Google is your friend. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, it's going to be regular retail, not a HasLab. That's what I said. It's not a HasLab. That was mentioned recently. Yeah, and I honestly thought it would never be a HasLab. I know a lot of people did. I just didn't see it, that scale, like the size vehicle being that. It doesn't. It makes sense, but for it to be, but it also makes sense for it not to be. I think they can do bigger and better things with HasLabs. So yeah, back to these missiles. Let's see again if they do fall out. If I was just like lucky that they're locked in because they've just been put in. Let's see. They're going to fall. Yeah. So they don't lock in like I thought. Even with a bit of pressure, but they will stay in there. Obviously, when it's stationary like this, you've got the blast effects. We'll pop those on as well. And they definitely lock in. Like so, there's a peg on those, and they're obviously going like that, and you can feel them go into the hole. That's what she said. And they'll sit in there. And one is shorter than the other. And then you take your missile, and just like with the blast effects for the guns, yeah, they sit on like that. And I know some people have had missile droop, and I don't know if that will do this straight away. It might do it after a few uses, but so far right now it is upright, and we can probably pull these out even somewhat so you can get a bit more idea of the smoke, I guess, sitting. They're not going to stay well and truly in place, but I guess you could, for photo purposes, you can sit them out so you can see the vapor trail of the smoke. That looks sick. I do like that, though. It's a nice touch. Again, world building, great for photography. So, yeah, that is that. All right, let's have a look at the rest of the figure now. Excuse me. A little sip of water is necessary. So we've got our helmet. And it's got like some nice detailing on it there. Cobra logo, the goggles. Other than that, pretty basic, but it's nice. So we'll pop that on this jar head here. And that sits nice and flush. Then you've got his little pistol, revolver. It's nice. It's not quite like the original, but it's still a nice little handgun. And we're just going to slot that in there. And that will sit nice and snug. It actually clips in. One thing I haven't really spoken about this before, but the holsters that they use on these figures are pretty damn good, in my opinion. Like, in terms of the weapon staying secure, I've never had much of an issue. The only issue I've ever had with the holster is roadblock. That roadblock I showed earlier, his falls down a bit, but you can just push it back up. And then we've got the control pad, or Game Gear. I think Lawrence likened it to. I know someone likened it to a Game Gear. And it's got some nice detailing. It's got like a little targeting system on there, antennas. And he, of course, holds that very easily, I dare say. Yeah. Oh, maybe not. His hands are being a bit pain in the ass. Oh, and there we go. First accessory of the show dropped. Had to tick that box, didn't we? And if you can hear the wind in the background, apologies. It's crazy out here. I feel like we're going to have a big storm coming. In terms of him holding it in two hands is what I'm trying to achieve here. So bear with me. It's being a bit of a pain in the ass. Yeah, his arms aren't crossing over enough. I don't know if that's because of the webbing. Oh, no, he can hold it. Just. There you go. So, yeah, that's him. Not much else to him other than that. And I don't want to bang on doing a wide-ranging review of him or anything like that. But he's a nice figure. I definitely dig him. I like the fact. Let's see how yeah, he's not too stiff in the lower region. Giggity. There's always one leg. There's always one leg stiffer than the other. Yeah, his arms. Just going to pop that data pad down so we don't lose that. His arms do rotate pretty well. Head joint moves pretty good. So yeah, there he is. Scrap on. Thank you for watching. Please go forth and watch the rest of my smattering of reviews and unboxing. I will have more to come, of course, on that front. Let's go check out the comments. Where are we? Okay. Yep, that's right. We discussed the HasLab, or it not being HasLab, I should say. The classified is definitely Hasbro's style line right now. Absolutely. It's number one with a bullet. And that's because, the Joe team are allowed to probably not have anyone other than the execs of Hasbro standing over them. There's no other property license issues. They don't have to pay money to other people. And yeah, that all the characters are pretty much their own. So, they've got free reign and autonomy to go nuts with it. And Lenny is not holding back. So lucky us. And, we started at the bottom, now we're here. And that couldn't be truer. Not that I like Drake at all, but I'm using that line from his song because it is appropriate. We've come a long way. And to those who have supported the line, give yourself a pat on the back, because there was a time when many didn't. There's a time when people gave up on it. There's a time when people shit-canned the hell out of it, and some people still do. And yet here we are, going strong. So yeah, it's good. And like I said earlier, plenty more to come. It is not slowing down anytime soon. All right. Yep, exactly, Jay. And it's interesting because it's fueled off nostalgic love for G.I. Joe. There's absolutely no media support, and look at what it's doing. Bingo. Yep. Other than a comic book, which has been on hiatus until recently, when, it's coming out with a different company, and a crappy Snake Eyes film, nothing. Nada. I'm not going to include, that video game or anything like that, because that was rubbish as well. We've got nothing. Nothing's fueling it other than nostalgia, quality product, other collectors, who have picked up on the hype and the buzz and been like, oh, this is good. And the nostalgia goes back for people, obviously, like my age, who are in our 40s, who grew up with the original line, but it also stems from people who grew up with Sigma 6 or the 25th line, or even the Rise of Cobra line. And those characters and those figures, those names are still attached and still connecting in here. And, fans of all those different branches of the tree, it doesn't matter if you like one that I like or one that I don't like. It's all the same. You got Snake Eyes running through that. You got Scarlet and Stalker. Well, Stalker did become Ripcord, but you know what I mean. Running through. And there's people who would be definitely going back to their childhoods, and also people who did collect things like Sigma 6 or the 25th line who never, or even after that, collected like the Rise of Cobra line, who never were exposed to the OG line in the 80s, because this classified line is really good at blending that with new, other new characters as well, although we haven't seen a lot of those. It's allowing those people who missed out on that to get these. And collectors of other properties are also jumping on board, which is great, man. Joey's in a good place. They just need to nail a couple of other things. Like, I'm sure the comic will do well, but comics is one thing. An animated series is the next step, and then a film that actually works properly. It needs to tie in this line. It should, you can do a standalone toy line for the film, but it should tie in classified in some way, shape, or form. Like, use the name. I know we're doing the Transformers Joe thing first, but use the name. Tie it into the brand. I've been saying this for a while now, and I think it's a really important point. You're talking about the blast effects. Absolutely, you can, Jay. Absolutely, that's another good point, mate. Badass. What's this? Zazel. Badass. Text. Green. Game over. I'm missing. This one's flown over my head. I'm not too sure. You have to explain that one, bud. Oh, hang on. Wait. Are you talking about the video game? Yeah, just let me know. You get oh yes, DJ, absolutely, dude. Hanging for that. I don't have a loose one of the first one they released. I've only got the box one, and I do like that figure. I really like Firefly as a character, but I haven't cracked that one open. So I was waiting for the retro one. So when they announced that, I was like, boom. That's a must-have, straight up. Like, no questions asked. Take my money, 100%. Lol. Lenny just messaging us on Facebook while you're live. Well, I'm not looking at my phone. Although, with that said, I did see a message pop up briefly, but I didn't know who it was from because I'm trying not to be distracted. So thank you for letting me know. Shout out to Lenny. I'm sure he'll watch this another time when he's got a good 2 hours to spare. Me too, Jay. Yeah, Firefly is a classic, dude. He's just an iconic look, man. Iconic. I did get another figure recently. He's sitting here. I forgot to mention this. I did get Rock and Roll. I did review him recently. I was a little underwhelmed with him. Don't get me wrong. He's a good figure. The bipod here is pretty rubbish. I get what they were trying to do, but look at that. Like, can you see that? That should not flip up past this point. You know what I mean? And it's pretty flimsy. Like, that would be easily broken if this was going to be played with, like, by a kid. The tattoos are great. Helmet's really nice. I'm neither here nor there about the chest plate. Accessory-wise, he doesn't come with a lot. You got the bandolier. I took that wrist bandolier off. He looks a lot better. You can see more of the tattoo. And it screamed impractical to have a bracelet of bullets. I think that's pretty lame. But I get why they did it. I guess it fits the metal aesthetic, so to speak. But yeah, that's another one I did grab. I forgot to mention. My voice is going to hell. I kind of did anticipate this because when I spoke with Lawrence, the same thing happened after about the 2-hour mark, which what we're closing in on right now. And thank you for everyone who's still here at this point, man. Like, one of the, I guess, the greatest fears when you have when you do this is like actually anyone watching. And the turnout today, I am stoked and really appreciative. Thanks, Aaron. Tell Lenny I said hi, and that, yes, that I'm busy. Is there anything else I've missed here? But yeah, man. Like I said earlier, this has been a very loosey goosey kind of format today. There's more to come. In the future, I will be looking at having guests on, and not just fellow toy tubers, but other people, whether they're toy photographers or they've worked on the line or they work on the line. Anyone basically who has anything to do with GI Joe, I'd like to speak to. And I'm not adverse. It could be a collector who has two figures, but has done something dynamic that appeals to me, or it could be someone who works for Hasbro. It doesn't faze me really. Like, I just like to talk to. I like interesting stuff. I like interesting people. I like storytelling, and I like to hear about people's lives. So that's definitely something I plan on doing. I don't know if I'll be focusing too much on a news kind of front, because that's something you really need to have your finger on the pulse to do. And the problem that we face here in Australia in doing that is we're being in the future. When a lot of the news breaks and things are launched or items are announced, for instance, that's happening in the States at a time when we're asleep. So we're always behind the eight ball and playing catch up. And when there's a news cycle and you're trying to stay up with that, it is damn hard. And I know from experience when I did that in the past when I had my own website, which was basketball related, and trying to stay ahead of the news, you just can't do it. So that's not something that I really will be focusing heavily on. But I will drop, the odd thing here that I'll talk about stuff, of course. But when I do like the weekly show, but I won't rehash like everything. That's just not my cup of tea and idea of a good time. So yeah, just to put that out there. But yeah, there'll be reviews and unboxing. That's something I will continually be doing. And I just want to have fun with it. I want to, when I have people on, I want to do different sort of things, like, not just like asking questions and stuff like that, but, maybe, having some kind of games involved and stuff like that. But yeah, that's all still in the pipeline. Well, there you go, Jay. I just got to pop this up. I used to work for Hasbro in the retail side. Well, there you go. Maybe I need to speak to you one day, man. Lo and behold. Yeah. I appreciate that, dude. Hang on a second. I'm pumping the wrong one. You had a great first stream. I'm glad I could participate. I'm glad you could be here for it, man. And thank you so much for the kind words. I'm going to wrap it up shortly because, yeah, we're getting over there now. But yeah, thank you again to yourself and to everyone else who's joined. I appreciate it. I haven't had a lot to say, but I've kind of had a lot to say. I did not anticipate being here for 2 hours, but yeah, it's gone super fast. But thank you, man. So yeah, that's the plans for the channel moving forward. Keep your eyes peeled. Those of you who have subscribed, that's going to be right there in front of you, of course. Turn your notifications on if you feel like being annoyed by more notifications. I have many notifications turned off because I don't want to be annoyed, but with certain things, I like to be notified, and YouTube shows is one of them. So there you go. So yeah, that's the plans. And yeah, it'll be a weekly show. I did mention that. What day and time that will be announced, and I'll probably put a post up on here and across my socials when I figure that out exactly. I've got a little bit of time up my sleeve this weekend, so I'm going to sort of, tighten the screws on that. It would be amiss if I departed without saying hello to my good friend Toombs here. G'day, mate. How are you? Thank you for jumping in. Unfortunately, I'm about to wrap this up because I've been going strong for 2 hours and my voice is going on me. I need a lozenge or a whiskey or something. But thanks for coming along, man. And yeah, dude, yeah, you can catch the replay. Kill 2 hours if you like. And yeah, catch Lawrence's show as well if you weren't there for any of that. I don't think I saw you in the chat. There we go. Maybe go back and watch that first, and then watch that. Yeah, because that's a good little entree for this. So yeah, thanks for jumping in, brother. So yeah, thank you, folks. I'm honored to have you all here, and I'm so appreciative. I can't say it enough. You've all been very kind and supportive, and you've participated, man, and that's what I was hoping to see. So a salute to you all. For those in the States, get some rest. For those of you in Australia, your workday is almost over. Hang in there. Thank you again. And this is where I call it a day.